We're slowly going to get started in here. While people are still joining. Hi, Jessica.
Hey.
I'm gonna introduce myself first. So, hi, my name is Tatiana Grabenik, but internal nickname Tanya. I'm a customer success team here at Clockwork, and today we're going to be focusing on a enhanced personal panel. It's our first webinar, and I am joined by Jessica Hammond. Jessica, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. Such a privilege. Thank you for having me. I get to be your first guest. For anybody who might have registered through the email, you guys were expecting Shigun. I'm so sorry. You get me instead. Yeah, and I'm the VP of product here at Clockwork, and I'm looking forward to this. So thank you for having me.
That's super exciting. I just wanted to quickly explain that Jessica is going to share her screen. Jessica is going to show us around some certain features of the enhanced person panel, as well as you guys can ask us some questions in a little QA section right here in Zoom. Later on, also the link to this video will be sent to everybody who's been registered, even if you did not participate and you're watching it and recording, just so you know this is what happened. Jessica, would you like to get started?
Sure. Can you see my people database?
Yes, I can. Awesome. So how do I get to the person panel first?
Okay, so this being our people database, all of your persons in the database are found here, whether they're friends, their family, their candidates, their clients, their targets of deals. Any human being that has a person record in your database will be found here. And for example, to find a person record, which by way of a person panel now, it's just a click to their name.
Wow, this is awesome. And I was wondering, I was playing around the platform kind of a little bit. Can I resize the person panel itself?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a couple ways to do that. There are some controls in the header, which are in the top right-hand corner. You can expand full width. You can minimize it so that if you wanted to see something behind the panel, for example, but not lose your panel, you could do that, or you can close it. The other way to resize the panel is to use the edge and move it between 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns, whichever width you prefer. Wherever you leave it last, it will save your preferences. And you'll be able, when you return to any panel, it will return to that size.
Perfect. I see the little green thing appearing on the top. Does it say for just me or for the entire organization?
And your preferences are yours. So that's only for your user.
Got it. Wow, this is this is actually super convenient. And you did mention the header. So what do we see here? We see his name, we see where person works, and also little icons. Can you briefly go over these?
Yeah, certainly. So in the header, you can actually click to edit a person's name, and you can add a nickname directly in here. For example, if we learned that Eddie doesn't want to be called Eddie, he needs to be called Edward, unless you are a good friend of his. We can make that note and save that. We can also use that for pronouns, which is extremely important nowadays. And it's a quick and easy click to edit, save to commit it. And then, for example, right below that, you have the summary position. Eddie or Edward, I don't know how friendly we are with Edward, is a ski bum at Self-Employed. He's done some other really miraculous things in a previous part of his life, but today he gets to be on the slopes. Being that he's self-employed, that there is a company record affiliated with that. I can go to that company record, or I can go down directly to his positions using the arrow and edit that. So if I need to review any of his previous positions, or if I wanted to change that current position, I can do that really simply by using this arrow here to go down the view. And the same is true for the contact information. So whether it's email or phone, you can get down to the contact information rather quickly. And you might have noticed I used an arrow on the right-hand side of the card to shoot back up to the top of the page. So if I don't want to actually stay down there, I don't have to. I can return myself rather quickly to the top of the view.
That looks very convenient. And I did notice there are some numbers on the right-hand side. It looks like it's a new addition. So can you briefly explain what the active projects or total projects are here?
Certainly. So as many people as might be in your database, which for some of us are into the hundreds and hundreds of thousands, only a few of them or a handful of them actually have relationships with objects in the application or in the database. And it's not necessarily just a few of them, because there's a larger number of candidates. But for example, you really want to know when people are targets of deals and clients. You certainly do want to know when they're candidates. You want to know whether they're on active projects, what quite potentially the highest status for those projects is. And then also maybe even their historical projects. So if there's 4 total projects, in this example, there's only 2, but there's 2 active projects. It's really nice to know that, well, they aren't only on 2 projects, they're on 4, and they're actually actively being pursued in 2 projects, potentially, right? Because if you know the highest status, then you'll also know that maybe they have been DQ'd on both those projects. Maybe they've been DQ'd on all those projects. Maybe you don't actually want to follow up with them. But this is the type of intelligence that will help you make decisions quickly, but also it will help you get to the information that you need rather quickly. For example, if I wanted to see what deals he is on, I can see that quickly. And again, use that same return to top arrow. Should I want to get back to different work? If it was just a glance that I needed to see, let me see what's actually going on with this person. I can do that rather quickly.
Wow, this is very convenient, by the way. And I did notice another small addition to the little icons on the left. I remember the view from the past, but can you briefly go through the icons that we have on the left underneath this photo?
So really quickly, these icons up here are more informational. These are really familiar for folks who've been on the application for a little bit, projects, deals, whether they're a client or not. You'll see those floating around in tables and panels. And these icons down here are action-oriented icons. So you can email somebody, you can go to their LinkedIn, you can leave a note, a task, you can access their V-card, you can download their internal report, meaning that this is like all of the data that you got on this guy, even the notes included. And so those are all super helpful. Some of those are coming over from our legacy person record view. Some of those have been in the person panel for a good long time. And then additionally, you have opportunity to enrich folks should you have that enrichment feature turned on. And then as you move over here, the candidate portal is also well integrated into the panel. I'm not going to go over too much of that here today, but it's helpful to know that it's there.
Great. Wow, thank you so much for this. And what about the notes and the email section on the right-hand side over the tasks?
Right. So for notes and emails, part of the desire for the panel in and of itself, right? Going from a multi-tab view to a view where you can actually see multiple layers of information in one tab, in one view. So part of the impetus for creating this option for notes and emails here is so that you can just maintain the view of the data on this person while also looking at the historical notes for this person. And should you want to, you can either add a note for this person from the plus add button down here, or you can actually do it from the add notes option in the header. Now, if you're in the header, you're doing it in a modal. So I can see the old notes, I can see the data on the person, and I can actually bring up notes that I had in draft, or I can bring up notes that I need to write, quite possibly all while I'm on a call. I don't have to look around, don't have to go through multiple tabs, don't have to concern myself with where did I put that last piece of information. It's all really quite visible and available to me in one view. So our hope is to really bring the center of the data that you're looking for around a person to the forefront, while also making it customizable and configurable enough for you to really say, hey, I don't need that kind of data right away, but I do want to see this data rather immediately. And so you're able to update those settings as you go, or even before you get going.
Wow, this is all very awesome additions. Thank you so much, Jessica. But I did notice the layout of the page itself is now different. I can see different cards here, candidates, documents, compensation, everything is in one place. Can you
Mhm.
briefly go over some of these cards or how do they work? Maybe there's a place where I can reconfigure them, change the location, resize them, and things like that.
Sure, certainly. And really quickly, I did want to go back to notes and emails before we left from there. For example, there's another view for notes. So a lot of times, and we've gone and done research with users in many different ways over the years. We've sat with folks while they're just doing their job and watched them do their job with multiple screens, hundreds of tabs, multiple like screens in their hands, screens on the desks. And what we've found is, and then even just doing talk-based research, conversations, surveys, high fidelity mockups, and user testing in that sense. And we do also understand that a lot of times this 1/3 panel for notes is helpful kind of to scrub against. But when you're taking notes, what I've noticed in a lot of users, may not be true for everybody, is that they're taking document style notes. I'm writing a document on this person. I might take Cliff Notes originally, but I'm going to come back in and I'm going to clean that up so that I can share it with my client, right? And I can actually then have it as a reference for my other teammates. So the ability to view that and to actually add notes in a more breathy manner is available by using this icon here. So I can go full screen or full width of panel, and then I can actually collapse it all the way. I can get it out of my way. The same is true for email. So I don't think there are any emails on this guy. Nope. But if you have any email integration, whether that's the main email integration, 365, Google Workspace, any of them, all of those emails are coming in here.
Wow, this is great. Thank you for this addition. It was really helpful.
Certainly. And to return to your original question, let's talk about some cards. So starting from the top, some of the fun pieces about these cards are that there's a lot of click to edit. I don't have to go in and edit an entire form. I don't have to go to another page to edit a form. I can actually just manage all of that here. So if I wanted to change Edward's status in a project, I can easily do that right from here. And then I can change his visibility, change his color category, edit his rank, change the recruiter who is working with him. I can see what activities have happened with Eddie on this project. Very simply. Same with this. This is just another project. If I need to add Eddie to a project, I can quickly do that. Use the add project hyperlink there, select a project, apply, and you're off to the races. What's even nicer that has come, because that's been around for a while. What's even nicer is, as of very recently, you can actually invite people as clients to projects inside of the panel, inside of the card, excuse me. So I select the project here. I can fill out the same normal information that I would in a client invite inside of a project, and shoot that invite out immediately. Or I can just add that person to the project for now and maybe invite them later, so that there's a reference, a relationship created. And I don't have to go deep into the project in order to do that. I can stay right here from any place that there's a person panel or candidate panel in the application. I can have that happen.
Wow, this is great. And what about changing the location or configuration of the actual cards? Let's say I care about position more than I care about contact, or maybe the location doesn't matter to me as much. How do I do that?
Yeah, so there are a couple, well, there's one way to do that. And that's through the move icon up here. It's the fourth one from the right. Select that, and I can use this grabber and I can move them around on my board. So if I don't really care about one type of piece of information and I do care about another, it's really rather simple to move them around. For example, I like my view to look somewhat like a resume. I'm used to seeing resumes quite frequently throughout my work history. And so instead of having it open to the 1/3 position view, I've stretched this out to 2. I could do that with actually any of these cards, but the ones that I find it important to do that with are actually resumes, education, biography, and so on. I'm going to save this. And if I scoot down a little bit, for example, relationships is another one, mostly because it's a rather large table. So it helps with the breadth. It allows me to see all of the data in it. And actually, before we move on, I did want to note something that I just think is really fun. Within the relationships, because this is rather new too, you can add a relationship super simply here, selecting the relationship type, adding that person, at start and end date if you have them, a little description if you'd like, but you can also bulk edit these now. Oops, and I just clicked his name. So the names are also hyperlinked. So if I click on their name, it will open their record. They are hyperlinked. However, if I just wanted to say, well, Eddie or Edward, I keep calling him Eddie. I must be really friendly with him. Excuse me. Eddie managed all of these guys. So I'm going to bulk edit this relationship. And well, Eddie's a ski bum now. He no longer works with Neuro, his former company. And so somebody else at Neuro is now managing them. So if I wanted to say managed, replace Eddie with, let's see, I think, I'll keep an in the original relationship. So I'm not going to say that Eddie never managed them. I'm actually going to maintain that Eddie did manage them. And I will add Madura now as their current manager. And I just press save and it will update. So we have an end date for that. And now if we go back to Madura's environment, she will be their manager in their relationships view, which is kind of nice. It actually makes it so that's really easy to not only maintain relationships, but to move people through the relationships and through the structures where companies are changing, and people move all the time. So, and we deal with that every day, right? So that is helpful in kind of making those transitions a little bit easier.
Great. Wow. These are all awesome and great additions. I'm absolutely stunned by the work that you guys did from the product team. So kudos to you. And right now it feels like maybe it's a good time, unless there's something else just that you would like to cover in a person panel. If not, or if yes, then maybe we can open up the floor to some questions in a Q&A section. So in case if you guys have some, you can feel free to type them in.
So I see a couple questions about how to move cards around again. And I'm happy to show that if that would be helpful. So if we go into the top right-hand corner of the screen, there is a hamburger button. It's the fourth icon from the right-hand side. So you have a close, a minimize, and expand, and then we have the hamburger for movement. If I click that, then we're into an edit mode for that feature, excuse me. And if I grab any of the top right-hand corners, my cursor will turn into a grabber, and then I can just drag and drop them anywhere on the screen. Once I got it to the way that I like it, just press save.
Yeah, always don't forget to press save.
Yeah.
Just like an old school video game.
And yeah, so there's another question about moving of the cards. It's only going to change it for your screen. So it's only changing it for your user. When I update, nobody else in my firm has the same view as I do. I do suggest that they have the same view as I do, because I think that my view is rather awesome. But it's really completely up to them. Maybe their workflow is different. Maybe the role that they play in the firm is different. They don't need the same type of information that I do. So to each user is its own view. So there's a question actually about the enrichment, which is interesting. Yeah. So in the person enrichment, And we also have the company's enrichment. What it does is it uses a LinkedIn URL and it fetches data, excuse me, from our partner or data partner, Nubella, and it enriches a series of data, whatever's available in that person's public profile, from their LinkedIn public profile into Clockwork. The third-party intermediary is Nubella, and it's rather simple. This person's never been enriched. Do we have a LinkedIn on him? Links, we do. Well, let's see how it changes. We can run that. Do you have save your preferences for page view? I think that's similar. So if the preferences for yourself, if you don't like the way that it defaults to update your saved, update your card order. So this is completed. Update your card order, and then it will save for you, and you won't have to update it again once it's updated once. Okay, I don't know that it changed him so much. All of like his, I had a lot of that data already on him. And I actually added the board member. He's not actually a board member for Neuro. But you see that even the position that I've added isn't gone away, but the other data is complemented. It's to his record. And then this is his, which I don't know that got updated. This is his background, or his biography, excuse me, from LinkedIn. There's probably a better time to go over. There's a few questions around the enrichment on this. I'm sure Tatiana will host a different webinar specifically on that. It's a rather simple feature to use. We've had some really good response and feedback around that. So hopefully you find it to be the same. I'm sure you can reach out directly to her for more information. Yeah.
Actually, it's a good segue to mention that we are going to be hosting these webinars on somewhat regular basis. So stay tuned and keep an eye on your inbox. There will be some more information on these webinars where we will uncover some of the newest features, or just features to educate you a little bit more of how Clockwork works to your advantage.
Okay, so there's two other questions. One is reducing the size of the cards. The smallest size of the card is going to be a 1/3, which is, in theory, you can have up to 4 columns in, maybe even more depending on your screen resolution, 4 columns in a panel view. The majority of us, based on our screen resolution and size, are going to see between 2 and 3 columns. But the default, like smallest possible view is 1 column. So that's what we call a 1/3 card. That's the smallest you'll be able to have it. However, you can make them larger than that. And if something is larger than that and you want it smaller, then you can do that again through this the move icon, and then expand collapse through the 3 dots on the right hand side. And then making sure just to save your changes before you exit. And the last piece here, which I think this is going to be the last question we take, for example, we're going to company, let's go back to Neuro. And I wanted to open this person in a new tab. I can right click on that person, and they will be open full record in a new tab. You can use the expand collapse icon to get them to a full view, if that helps. But that's them in their own tab. Okay.
Great. Well, it looks like we're almost at time. I know that we essentially booked this webinar for an hour because it's one of our first ones. We just wanted to make sure to cover this information correctly. Right now, what we're going to do is that, we're going to save this recording and we're going to send it to everybody who signed up. Please feel free to share it with your colleagues if you want to. And also, we will be hosting these webinars more regularly at this point. And if you have any other questions in regards to Person Panel or any other features of Clockwork, feel free to reach out to support@clockworkrecruiting.com. We're there for you, always there for you. And in the meantime, thank you so much for joining us today. It was a pleasure showing you around, and I guess have a rest of your day. And it was nice to specifically, Jessica, thank you so much for showing us around. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you all for joining. And we do have a copy of all of the questions put in the Q&A, and we'll make sure to get back to everybody directly. So thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. We're grateful for each and every one of you. And it takes all of us, yourselves included, to build a really dope product. And that's absolutely what we believe here. So if we haven't spoken to you in a user testing fashion from the product team side, we would love to. So we have a masterminds group. We love reaching out to them every time we're doing new development, we're doing user testing and research. So we want you to be a part of that if you're interested.
Right.
So thank you.
Well, thank you. Have a good rest of your day and see you on the next webinar. Bye-bye.